one.
Okay.
We're currently driving to pick up a space heater from Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah. And we're talking about that. Well, I was advocating that maybe the quality of the audio recording matters, but will an iPhone voice memo be enough?
Mm-hmm.
Question number 1. Question number 2, Derek, what would you say we're trying to do?
Together. Well, you see, we have sort of separate plans that intersect. Together, I think where I stand now is we're trying to find a way to do the thing that our hearts are telling us, which sounds... There's no way to say that and make it sound like a good, I don't know.
Yeah, but I wonder if saying it again, like, we want... Well, so last night we were talking about... Last night we want to first... Almost like... Are you going to put your bubble gum in the cache? Cool. Is it called bubble gum?
Bubble gum.
Okay.
Gum.
Spearmint mint gum. Okay, so we were... It sounds cheesy to say out loud, like...
Yeah, it sounds bad.
We are trying to design a life that allows us to first even hone the muscle of being able to listen to your heart. Like, what is the right thing that you should be working on?
Or your intuition. I think we've all got different names for it.
Yeah. Intuition.
Yeah.
But I really liked that last night when we were using the word heart, when we were thinking about who we are inspired by, and like what is it about them that is inspiring. And that way it made sense to say, like, they were people that like listen to, I guess, their intuition, their heart, versus a track that was laid out before them.
Yeah, that seems really consistent with the kinds of people that I really admire.
Yeah.
That seems really consistent. They pretty much all didn't do the thing that was sort of prescribed. Pretty much none of them did that.
Right, and we were talking about how what they were doing wasn't thus in rejection to what was prescribed. It just happened to be a byproduct of them following their intuition or heart about what they should be doing. A byproduct happened to be that they rejected tracks laid out before them, like school.
Right. Yeah, it looks so, like, if you're an observer, it looks like how they did it was they rejected like the school route, for example. But actually that's just like a result of following their intuition, I think. Yeah, I don't know why I had to rephrase exactly what you just said.
I like it. I sometimes need to hear things said back to me for me to hear them differently.
Yeah.
You've probably picked up on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one thing is... Oh, but I think last night we also talked about that when people say, like, you should just follow your heart, it does sound cheesy. But if you first have to, learn how to listen to what your fucking heart it's clearly like messaging you.
Yeah.
And that in itself is the first skill.
Yeah.
That we are not encouraged or rewarded per se. Much less like do we get to see that other people are doing that around us in like normie land.
Yeah.
I call it normie land.
And it's really, it's like really complicated too, because I think we have even an idea of what following your heart, I wish we had a different phrase, looks like, you know? So like, I would say like, it's pretty common, for example, for like you to like just convince yourself that following your heart is being in a band of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And like in a funny way I think you'll actually at least this is my experience of it, you'll like in doing that, in like committing to it or something, you'll like turn the signal off. And so it's kind of a funny problem.
Oh, like once you're like, I want to be in a band, I want to tour.
Exactly.
If you get overly
Yeah.
focused on like, I need to be in a band.
Yeah.
It can mean that you tune out the actual continuing messages. So
Right.
This is relevant to the conversation I had today with Jonathan, friend Jonathan, beautiful soul. I felt stuck. I hadn't talked to him in months, I think. And I don't know why. I was like, I just feel like I should talk to Jonathan about this. And one thing he said is, I think you'll find you have a ton of flexibility about what's the next thing to do when you relinquish the idea of what you said you set out to do.
Perfect example.
Boom.
Yeah.
To what you just said.
Yeah. If you get married to, I mean, I really fell into that trap in my life.
We're currently distracted by a spirited away ghost.
Yeah, I forget what they're called.
Face that someone just smashed into a humongously overgrown pine bush.
It's really nice.
On Cesar Chavez.
It's a good vibe.
And Division Street by the now very closed down Rite Aid. Check it out, Portland. Okay. So to back up into what we are trying to do. So maybe I'll rephrase the question. What are you trying to do, Derek?
Well, what am I trying to do? I have a lot of threads running, you know. I
Thread
like
number one.
Thread number one. Well, you know, right now I'm like, I've had this career going, you could call it. I'm a programmer, and
You're a senior dev. It's quite a career.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been like 12 years, 10 years. Not forever. But I'm like trying to do something else. And something like radically different, in fact. So I don't even know how to segue into this, but like the thing that is like most loudly calling to me, like the ideal that I'm trying to transition to is like a at least like maybe like a 2-day a week night shift position at like a shelter, and maybe some other hours at other times, but like night shift at a shelter is kind of like the golden ideal for me right now. I've talked, we've been talking about this so much that I don't know if I have anything fresh to say about it, other than it's definitely, this is like what we're talking about here, where I feel that I'm increasingly letting myself just like listen to what I really want in life, and I think if you do that, you might find yourself entertaining things that sound kind of funny like this, because
I mean, I think last night you said things that sound insane.
Right. Yeah. So like in the conventional world, this is just like a dumb idea. This is just like a stupid decision, basically, because I'm going from like a pretty well-paying like career to just something that like is probably like not stable, probably like not healthy, probably, you know, certainly like not paying very well. But like I've been thinking about I've just been thinking about getting paid, or, you know, I've been entertaining those things for so long. I never really even wanted to begin with. And hey, you know, life, we're all going to be at different places in life, and like maybe it wouldn't make any sense for somebody else to do this, but like for me it does make sense, because I've neglected something pretty vital, I think, to being like pretty vital to what I think is important in life. And I kind of like, basically I just kind of got talked into ignoring it over the years, and it feels really exciting for me to like let myself like do these things. So that's track one. That's kind of a big thing. That's like a transition that I'm looking to make in the near future.
Can we pause on that one for a second?
Yeah.
Because I think the part that I found really interesting is when you and I have been using the word like listen to your heart, or like even when you said to do what you want. I think often when I was growing up and would see some fucking poster that was just like, just follow your bliss, or like follow your heart, and we're just being like, I don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah, I always
Is it
had that.
photography?
Mm-hmm.
Is it art? Is it caring for kittens? Because I really liked that. Like, what is it? And I think what's been interesting in like following maybe the way that you and I talk about it is that you're like, Derek's also driving while we're doing this. In the rain, in the dark.
Yeah.
While following some confusing Google Map. Headed to pick up
A space heater.
with the $40 that we just got. Okay. So we're doing that right now. So when you and I have been talking about listening to your heart, I think you and I know that what we mean is, I don't know why, but the message is blank.
Yeah.
Which is really different than follow your bliss, or like do what your heart desires. I don't know that, like, I would always call the messages what my heart desires.
Yeah, I wouldn't phrase it that way. That's
right.
like
It's just
not
like,
what
that's
I would
just
say
the message.
this is.
I don't fucking know why. It's just the message.
Yeah.
The message is like, for me, it's like the message is. Oh, we're here.
We're not. I don't know where it is. I think it's in here. 41st and Gladstone isn't like a real street.
Oh, so we got the wrong address?
Well, where? Let me know the exact address. Okay, I'm just sending him a message.
Oh, yeah, I see, right, because it's like, don't come to my house, otherwise you know where I live. Or something. I think it's been really interesting to think about them as messages. And the message that you've been hearing is like, it's not just like social work or like supporting people facing like homelessness or like supporting folks facing, no, it's like the message is night shift.
Yeah, that's something funny yesterday that I really feel is like, what if I got like a 9 to 5 at a shelter, it's like, that's not exactly
That's not the
what I'm
message.
hunting for. Yeah, that's not exactly what I'm feeling. I really just want that, like, night shift. Maybe even, like, Friday and Saturday night shift. Oh, we are here. All right.
Great.
This might be a no parking.
Maybe. I mean, I'm gonna stay in the car, so.
Okay.
But we have time. What's that place?
I think it's actually this place. Right here.
Really?
Yeah.
Looks like a tattoo studio. It says Earth,
It might be
Space.
5 minutes away.
Cool.
I don't know what it is.
Okay. We're waiting for space heater person. Okay, so one thing that we're doing is making space. I think encouraging in each other. The ability to honor those intuition moments.
Yeah.
Number one. I kind of distracted you because you were about to say the second thing you are trying to do.
Well, yeah, so that's like just a big thing. Are we still going? Second thing is, well, there's not like, then there's just like a whole bunch of other stuff, you know, like I am a painter. I like drawing. I'm kind of always trying to find a way to share that stuff. So I'm doing that. What?
God, I keep interrupting you.
Go for it.
You sure?
Yeah.
I wanted to add the flavor that you always been trying to do that, but when I met you, you were very low key about it, and I feel like almost like, speaking of hearts, in your heart you were not sure if that's what you should be doing, is sharing it with others. Like you were kind of in like a questioning moment about it.
Well, I think the biggest thing is like, I don't have a whole lot of evidence. I have some evidence that people, you know, like some of it, you know. But yeah, that's like always the main thing is like, I don't like need to push stuff out at people unless I like it. So it's kind of always a quest for me to make something that I like is like usually the main priority, which it probably should be for everybody. And that is like kind of tricky, honestly.
Oh, they're here.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm going to get it.
Okay.
I'm going to get these. I take my license out when I go to jiu-jitsu practice.
Why?
I don't know, I just don't like leaving all of my stuff unattended places. It's pretty silly. It's like a habit I'm in, I guess.
So now you're driving licenseless.
Yeah.
Breaking the law. People are showing up to this art studio. Okay. Now we're gonna go to Sandy Hut
Sandy Hut.
for our weekly, almost,
Pretty much.
vegan burger with vinegar, salt and vinegar fries. It's kind of always a different bartender, huh? They're never gonna recognize us.
Yeah, weirdly, they don't have consistent shifts.
Maybe if we went the same day of the week.
That's true. I guess we are
don't.
not consistent either.
No. takes two.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How would you describe what I'm trying to do?
Yeah, let's talk about what you... I have plenty more things on my list, but...
Right, let's go back to it then.
We're going to be just talking about my things.
Okay, we'll go back and forth. Two of yours, two of mine.
Let's do that.
Did we finish your second one?
Painting? Is the art.
Okay, great. Painting
so,
and illustration?
Illustration and
great.
Painting, yeah.
Okay.
We're mixing it up. Yeah, what are you trying to do? Well, I think the main thing, like, kind of on the same level, or, you know, in the same vein as me trying to, like, change a career, I would say you're working on putting together an artist residency at this duplex that we co-own.
Right.
And this is a pretty interesting project. So you were talking about it, like, right when we met. And I'm now right in it.
Literally live.
I'm on the other side of the house.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
we should explain that.
Well, yeah, it's a duplex. So normally, like, 2 families or 2 people. There's 2 2-bedroom units that are attached with, like, 2 little garages. There's a lot to say about this house, actually.
It's almost like another day.
It's like a whole...
We describe
like
what is.
That's a whole thing.
But we should put a pin in it and put a little label on that pin that says Mirror House.
Yeah.
Because we call it Mirror House.
Right.
We call lots of things Mirror House.
Yeah.
We are Mirror House.
Right.
But Mirror House is also the house.
Us 2 are Mirror House.
Right.
So you're working on putting together an artist residency, which means getting the place set up to host people who are gonna, like, work at a basic level. Right now, that's what it feels like we're, like, kind of working on.
Yeah.
You have a lot more to say about it. I don't want to, like, put words in your mouth about what your objectives are, but we do want the place to, like, feel nice for people to stay in.
Yeah. I think what's standing out to me is that thing that Jonathan said, which is that, like, I have a lot of flexibility. I'll find that I have a lot of flexibility if I relinquish the original thing I set out to do. And so it's almost like, just for a thought experiment, what if we didn't say that what I'm trying to do is an artist residency? Because that is the thing I originally set out to do. And I'm, again, as a thought experiment, wondering, what if instead we say what I set out to do is either a kind of impact, or, like, what's the impact I'd set out to do? Or what's the feeling I set out to create for myself or for others? And we start that way.
Yeah, that's more in line with the way that I've come to learn you think as well. Because you've asked me about, like, the feeling you're trying to create. I like this. This is good. I'm learning about your changing thoughts as we go here.
You're learning that I change my thoughts a lot.
That's good, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not unsettling as my partner to be.
I think it just makes sense to me. Like, you just hone in on, you're honing in on something. So, or, yeah, I don't know. That's how I see it. Things change.
So, so the thing I set out to do was one, I was actually looking at this thing I made, which is called like the Wheel of Life or something, and you break up do you remember this drawing I made a while back?
Yeah.
You break up your life into pie slices.
Yeah.
And the way I do the Wheel of Life is the pie slices aren't like home life, work life, daughter, partner, which I think is how some people do it. Sorry, that made me sound like I think that's a shitty way to do it. Home life.
Yeah, you really
daughter.
mocked the hell out of the Wheel of Life.
Wheel of Life. I do it by what thing I want to create or feel, since obviously that's a thing. So one of the things I was looking at this morning from the Wheel of Life from June, my June Wheel of Life, for July and August, is one, I want to be part of others' transformation. So I'm going to put that in the category of this thing that later I said, and that's artist residency. 2, I want to create beautiful things as worship. And I'd forgotten that phrasing. And maybe it said I want to create beauty as a form of worship. Worship, I guess, to the universe. And so, 3, I want to create spaces that make people feel held and safe to grow.
Great.
And one intersection that I felt, when I say skills or interest in these, having these feelings or creating these situations, was that myself as a creative person and then other people close to me, I wanted to challenge the notion that depression, anxiety, mental health, panic attacks, addictions are this funny, weird byproduct or like sister to creativity. You know, like, oh, musicians are drug addicts or depressed, and that's almost like fuels, it's like what fuels their artistry.
Destructive.
Yeah, this destructive side, self-destructive. Because I think there's a romanticism that I grew up with around that stuff, as if like it's inevitable and required, when really I think what I've seen in myself, in my own creative practice, and in people close to me, is that what if depression, anxiety, hopelessness, sadness, panic attacks, what if they're actually a result not of our creativity, but of a tension between our creativity and the things that, like the visions that we have for ourselves and for the world, a tension between that and a world that is incredibly unloving and incredibly like unwelcoming to anything but norminess. And I mean, I guess that's the fast way to say it, is unloving. Meaning, if a world is more loving and holds us, do we see in cultures where the world is more loving and villages hold people and accept all the ways that they show up and don't obsessively reinforce strict ways of being, do we see less creativity in those societies and cultures? And the answer is no. We don't.
Right.
And so I wonder, for me, I know that my depression in the past, the car is fogging up because I am talking a lot.
I think it's because we're talking.
Because we're talking a lot.
Didn't know that was a thing.
I was heatedly discussing this thing as I'm thinking out loud. So yeah, for me, my depression in the past kept me from being my most creative self, because I was like not getting up in the fucking morning. Like, there was no romanticism between that and my creativity. So that's a very long way, I think, of saying that if I don't call it an artist residency for now, for this thought experiment, if instead I say what I want to create is a space or like a program or something to be part of others' transformation so that their creativity and emotional health are both supported. Not that we're erasing the depression. Maybe they leverage free work. Maybe they build a more kind relationship with their depression. But either way, we're either not ignoring it. Like, I think a lot of artist residencies, like, they just expect you to show up and be productive.
Yeah, show up and, like, produce.
Because you're amazing, right? That's why you got into the residency.
Yeah, show up and work.
And I'm just kind of like, I don't know that many artists who aren't struggling with how to love themselves in an otherwise very unloving world.
Yeah, I think it's, well, you know, I'm sure there's debate about all this, but, like, you know, it's, to me, it looks easier to find, God, I don't even think this is true. I think we just have a universal problem of feeling, like, cared for in 2023, you know? I think it's been a while coming.
Many generations of not being cared for.
Yeah, like, in a real way. And I would say probably the majority of people alive in this country feel this way. I would guess. Yeah. It's the majority.
Right. If you were... Well, okay, sorry. So... what I'm trying to do is address that, what I think is the saddest thing, which is that people not being deeply cared for and held as their full selves in this society, and how that intersects with creative people I know, and how much I believe creative people are the solution makers and, like, really important to support and love in our society. And that so I'm trying to create that in my home, because I have this sense that sterile, quote unquote, perfectly designed places from, like, a Western definition of perfectly designed spaces aren't the kind of place to do this in. So I moved in April of this year to this little duplex. And I've been self-judging myself for not, by now, having an artist residency, which is, again, what I set out to do.
Which is funny, because when I met you, I thought that was going to be in, like, summer of 2024. So I'm just I'm hearing otherwise now.
I think I have this kind of project amnesia, period. But I think where I, like, move the needle up on myself out of this, like, hyper-achiever mode that I can get in, and then I forget that was never the realistic thing. But yeah, so that's...
Yeah. Well, yeah, okay. So it sounds like you're reframing, like, what you're trying to do, which makes sense, because, yeah, if you've nailed yourself to something that isn't, like, fitting everything you're really yearning to do or working to do, then...
Well, maybe to your earlier point, that if you get overly focused on, like, I said I was going to be in a band, you can stop. You can begin to miss the signals.
Yeah, you totally will.
That are coming along the way that are like, by band, we meant hang out with musicians.
Sure, yeah. By band we meant like talk to musicians.
Right.
Or fucking who knows, man?
Who knows? And like later you realize that you miss the signals that deep in your heart you have this knack for documenting the musical process.
Right.
Because this whole time you're like, but I said I would be in a band.
Yeah. Maybe you told everyone you were gonna be in a band.
That's the second part, is I'm like, I totally hear in my head, like, people are gonna start thinking that I'm one of those fuckheads who keeps saying that they're working on art projects that they never finish.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be one of those fuckheads.
They're not fuckheads.
I know. I'm being mean to myself.
Well,
first.
you've heard me be mean to them too. You know how I feel.
These thems. Maybe that's a good pause point.
That's a good pause point.
Because we got to Sandy Hut and I want my burger.